a slower, richer life. After 60, have you noticed how, after a certain age, say 60 life, doesn't just slow down, it shifts? It softens. The calendar might still be full, the to-do list still exists, but there's this beautiful space that begins to open up. A space where we finally have the time to notice the little things, the way the sunlight pours through the kitchen window in the morning, the laughter of a grandchild echoing in the living room, the quiet peace of knowing we don't have anywhere to rush off to. For most of our lives, we've been building careers, raising families, saving for the future. But now, we are living in that future we used to dream about, and that changes everything. Because here's the thing, when you're no longer chasing what's next, you start paying more attention to what's now. And suddenly, how you spend your time, your energy, even your money, it all feels more precious, more personal, more sacred. But there's a little trap we often fall into without realizing it. We carry with us habits from our younger years' habits that used to serve us well, like spending a little extra to keep up appearances, chasing upgrades we don't really need, or holding on to routines that no longer match this gentler season of life. They were survival tools once, maybe even badges of success. But now they might be quietly stealing our peace, our joy, and yes, even our financial freedom. So today, I want to have a gentle, heart-to-heart conversation with you, woman to woman, or honestly, human to human. Because this next chapter, it's not about rules or restrictions. It's about freedom, lightness, wisdom, and making room for the things that truly matter. I know talking about money can feel heavy. It can bring up shame, regret, maybe even some fear. But here's the truth. You are not alone. Every wise woman I've ever known, everyone has, made decisions she later outgrew. That's not failure. That's growth. That's life. So, if any part of what I'm saying feels familiar, I want you to know something important. There is nothing wrong with you. You are not behind. You are not broken. You are evolving. And in this video series, I'm going to walk with you through some of the most common spending traps that show up quietly in our 60s and beyond. Habits that we often don't notice until they've already taken root. And more importantly, I'll share stories, real stories of women, just like you, who realized it's never too late to make a shift. Women like Helen, who used to spend thousands on designer labels until one morning she looked in the mirror and realized her favorite accessory wasn't her scarf or her shoes, it was her smile. Women like Ruth, who chased the latest tech until she realized her old phone connected her to her grandkids just fine and without the stress. Women like Linda, who rediscovered her love for home-cooked meals after months of delivery, left her wallet empty and her heart lonelier than ever. You see, this isn't about judgment. It's about awareness. It's about pausing long enough to ask, is this choice still serving me? Or is it just a habit I haven't questioned in a while? Because when we start to make choices from a place of clarity, not habit, from peace, not pressure, that's when everything changes. So, here's my invitation to you. Make yourself a cup of tea, wrap yourself in a cozy blanket, and let's talk not about budgeting, spreadsheets, or coupon clipping, but about the small shifts that make a big difference. The quiet decisions that lead to greater freedom, the gentle unlearning of shoulds, and the rediscovery of what truly matters to you. We'll talk about everything from the illusion of status symbols to the quiet drain of unused subscriptions, from the guilt of unused exercise equipment to the emotional weight of credit card debt. And through each one, I hope you'll feel seen, heard, empowered. Because you deserve a life that feels light. You deserve mornings that begin with peace, not pressure. afternoons filled with things that bring you joy, not just distractions, and evenings where you feel proud not for what you bought or earned, but for how deeply you're living. This isn't about doing more, it's about choosing better. It's about remembering that your worth has never been defined by what you own or how much you spend. It's about knowing deep in your bones that you already have everything you need to live richly, fully, and freely. So, if you're ready, let's take this journey together. And before we dive into the first spending trap, can I ask you for a little favor? If this message already speaks to you even just a little, I'd be so grateful if you'd click that like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell so you don't miss the next video in this series. I also send out a little newsletter each week filled with extra tips and encouragement, so feel free to join that tweets linked below. And most importantly, if you know someone, maybe a sister, a friend, or even your mom who might need to hear this, please share it with her, because none of us should walk this chapter alone. All right, let's take a deep breath and begin. Part 1. The Illusion of Designer Labels. Let's be honest, at some point in our lives, many of us believed that our value could be worn, that the right handbag or a designer label somehow made us more put together, more respected, more visible. For decades, women were taught that elegance came with a price tag, that if we looked the part, we'd be seen as strong, competent, worthy. But let me introduce you to Helen. She's 68 years old and lives in a quiet suburb in Pennsylvania. For most of her working life, Helen adored fashion. Her closet was a shrine to Chanel, Coach, and Nordstrom, rows of perfectly matched outfits, accessories, scarves, and heels. Getting dressed in the morning was almost a ritual. But something changed after she retired. One day, standing in front of her overflowing wardrobe, Helen asked herself a simple question. Who am I dressing for now? She wasn't heading to boardrooms or galas anymore. Her days were spent reading with her grandkids, tending to her roses, and volunteering at the library. None of those beautiful, peaceful moments needed 300 shoes. What they needed was Helen fully present, relaxed, and comfortable. Now, Helen still dresses beautifully, but her favorite outfits are soft, breathable, and easy to move in. And when asked what makes her feel the most elegant, she smiles and says, "My joy, my smile, that's the best thing I wear." Because true elegance has never been about fabric or fashion. It's in the warmth of your voice, the kindness in your eyes, the peace in your presence. Next time you feel tempted by something shiny or overpriced, pause. Ask yourself, is this for me or for someone else's expectations? Part 2. The pressure to upgrade technology. Let's talk about something a bit sneaky. The pressure to always upgrade our technology. You know what I'm talking about. New phones, smartwatches, tablets, each promising to be smarter, faster, and absolutely essential. But do we really need the latest model every year? Let me tell you about Ruth. She's 72 and lives in Oregon. Ruth has always been pretty good with tech, not a wizard, but capable. When the newest phone came out with the super camera and fancy titanium body, she thought, maybe I should try it. Maybe this will make life easier. So she did. She paid over $10 for that sleek new device. And then, frustration set in. The buttons were unfamiliar. The menus had changed. Apps didn't work the same way. She missed calls because the notifications were buried under new settings she didn't understand. What was supposed to be a convenience became a daily annoyance. All Ruth really wanted was to FaceTime her daughter and see photos of her new great-grandbaby. Eventually, she made a bold move. She returned the new phone and went back to her old one, the one she already knew and trusted. And just like that, her stress lifted. She was back in control. back to using her phone for what mattered: connection, not confusion. Here's the thing. Newer doesn't always mean better, especially if what you already have is working perfectly well. You're not falling behind by sticking with the tech you know. You're being wise, because peace of mind is far more valuable than the latest gadget. Part 3. The weight of credit card interest. Now this next one is close to the heart and the wallet. Credit card interest. Many of us started using credit cards for convenience. A dinner out here, a quick online purchase there. It felt manageable. But over time, those balances can snowball, especially when life throws unexpected curveballs. Joanne, a 70-year-old widow from Florida, knows exactly how that feels. After her husband passed away, she found herself shopping more online. Not big things, just little comforts. A nice robe, a new lamp, a few surprise gifts for the grandkids. It helped ease the loneliness, until it didn't. One afternoon, Joanne sat down and added up how much she had paid in interest over the past 2 years. Over 9,000. Her heart dropped. That was money she could have used for a trip with her sister, home repairs, or even just a cushion for medical bills. But Joanne didn't let shame win. She made a plan. She called her bank, set up a payment schedule. She even sold a few things around the house she no longer needed. Most importantly, she forgave herself. Because debt isn't just about money, it's emotional. It weighs on your shoulders and your spirit. But it's not a life sentence. Joanne is now debt-free. Not because she won the lottery, but because she showed up for herself with patience, courage, and a willingness to start where she was. So if you're carrying that quiet weight of interest fees, know this: you are not alone. You're not bad with money. You're human. And there is a path forward. Because every dollar you free up is more than savings. It's a little bit of your peace coming back home. Part 4. The drain of unused subscriptions. You know those little charges that show up every month? 9 here, 15 there? It's easy to ignore them until you add them up. Margaret, 66, from Texas, did exactly that. During the pandemic, she signed up for nearly every streaming service: Netflix, Hulu, Disney+, even fitness apps. It felt comforting at the time. But fast forward a year, she was watching the same 2 shows, both available for free on regular TV. The rest? She hadn't opened in months. She was spending over $90 a month more than $10 a year on entertainment she wasn't even using. That hit her hard. That money could have meant a trip with her sister or a cozy rainy day fund. So she took charge, cancelled what she didn't use, found out her library card gave her access to thousands of movies for free. Now, she rotates services based on what she actually watches and breathes easier every month. The lesson? You don't need more options. You need the ones that bring you real joy. Part 5. The cost of chasing the jackpot. Let's talk about something a little delicate. The quiet hope wrapped inside a lottery ticket. Every Wednesday and Saturday, millions of people do the same thing. They pick their numbers, clutch that little piece of paper, and for a few fleeting hours, maybe even minutes, imagine a completely different life. A bigger home, no more bills. Freedom to say yes to everything you've always dreamed of. I mean, who hasn't thought about what they'd do if they won the jackpot? Dolores, a 65-year-old from Ohio, knows that feeling intimately. For 5 years straight, she played Powerball religiously. Every week, rain or shine. Payday meant picking up a few tickets. Just 10 here, 20 there, nothing major, she thought. But one afternoon, on a whim, she decided to go back through her bank statements and tally up just how much she'd spent. Her jaw dropped. Over 50. That didn't even include scratch-offs or the extra plays when the jackpot hit the news. And here's the thing, she hadn't won anything significant, not even enough to cover the tickets themselves. What she had instead was a shoebox full of losing stubs and a little regret. Now, let's be honest, Dolores wasn't really buying tickets. She was buying hope, a sense of possibility. And that's a powerful thing, but she also realized that she didn't have to pay for that feeling. She could create it herself. So she tried something different. She took a glass jar, labeled it Future Joy, and every time she had the urge to buy a ticket, she slipped the cash in there instead. After just a few months, she had enough for a weekend getaway with her sister, something they'd talked about doing for years but never found the right time or the extra money. And you know what? That trip brought her more happiness than any lottery win ever could have promised. No waiting, no wishing, just memories, laughter, and the kind of richness money can't measure. The truth is, we're already rich in the ways that matter most: love, wisdom, and the ability to shape our own joy. A lottery ticket won't build a better life, but small, wise choices will. So if you've been chasing numbers hoping for a big break, take a breath. Ask yourself what dream you're really chasing and how you might bring a little piece of it to life today with what you already have. Because happiness? It doesn't wait at the end of a jackpot. It lives in the steps we choose, one small decision at a time. Part 6. The convenience cost of food delivery. Let's face it, there's something incredibly tempting about tapping a few buttons and having dinner magically appear at your door. No dishes, no prep, no grocery runs, just food, fast. Especially when you're tired, or alone, or both. Linda, a 63-year-old from California, totally gets it. After her husband passed away, the kitchen felt different, too quiet, too full of memories, so she started ordering in. Thai food on Mondays, burgers on Fridays, pasta when she just needed something comforting. Some weeks, she ordered delivery 5 times or more. At first, it felt like a little luxury, one less thing to think about. But over time, the effects started adding up. At her next checkup, her doctor raised a few red flags. Her blood pressure was climbing. Her energy had dipped. She felt tired, sluggish not just physically, but emotionally. And when she finally looked at her spending, over 0 a year. Not on gourmet meals, but on takeout containers, high-sodium entrees, and lonely dinners in front of the TV. That was her wake-up call. So Linda made a quiet promise to herself: 3 home-cooked meals a week. Nothing fancy, just real, nourishing food made with her own 2 hands. Soup with fresh herbs, grilled chicken with lemon, roasted vegetables that filled the house with a warm, familiar smell. And something unexpected happened. She began to enjoy it. The sizzle of onions in olive oil, the satisfaction of slicing something with care. Even setting the table just for herself became a ritual, a way of saying, "I matter." One day, she invited her neighbor over for lunch. They laughed over soup and swapped stories. No delivery bag could have brought that kind of nourishment. You see, food isn't just about fuel. It's about memory, love, connection. And when we let someone else prepare it every night, we lose a little bit of that magic. Now, this isn't to say food delivery is bad. There's a time and place for convenience, absolutely. But when it becomes the default, we lose more than money. We lose a little bit of ourselves in the process. So if your takeout app knows you a little too well, maybe it's time to get reacquainted with your kitchen. Not for perfection, just for presence. Because cooking for yourself isn't just a task. It's a form of care. And every chopped carrot, every warm bowl, every quiet moment over the stove says this: I am worth the effort. And friend, you truly are. Part 7. The Guilt of Unused Exercise Equipment. Let's talk about something that lives in way too many living rooms, not being used, but silently making us feel bad about ourselves. Yep, I'm talking about that treadmill that became a coat rack. The elliptical you swore would change your life. The exercise bike collecting dust in the corner, still looking brand new because it is. Sound familiar? Nancy, 69, from Georgia, gets it. Last spring, she decided it was time to finally commit to her health, time to get serious, as she put it. So she bought a top-of-the-line elliptical machine, big, shiny, expensive. For 2 weeks, she used it every single day. And then, life happened. A family visit, a sore knee, a shift in routine. The elliptical sat still, and every time she walked by it, Nancy didn't just see a machine, she saw guilt, money wasted, a promise broken, a quiet voice whispering, "You failed." But here's the truth, Nancy didn't fail, the system did. See, we're often sold the idea that buying something will motivate us, that a new gadget or high-tech setup will somehow make habits stick. But movement, real, joyful movement, doesn't need to come in a big cardboard box. Nancy eventually sold that elliptical to a neighbor who really wanted it. And then, she did something radical and totally free. She joined a local walking group. Twice a week, she laces up her sneakers, meets a few friends at the park, and just walks. No pressure, no guilt. Just connection, fresh air, and gentle movement. And guess what? She's healthier. She sleeps better. She even smiles more. Not because she spent money, but because she gave herself permission to do what felt good, not what felt forced. So if you've got something in your house silently judging you a yoga mat you haven't unrolled, weight's still in the box. I want you to know something. You are not lazy. You are not weak. You are human, and your body doesn't need punishment. It needs kindness. It needs movement that fits into your real life, not a routine built around shame. So take a walk. Dance to your favorite song in the kitchen. Stretch while you wait for your coffee to brew. Because movement isn't about machines. It's about you, your joy, your energy, your rhythm. And that doesn't come with a price tag. Part 8. The Empty Promise of Overpriced Courses. Have you ever signed up for an expensive course, hoping it would change your life, and then halfway through, realized it's telling you things you already knew in your gut? Barbara has. She's 71, retired from a long, meaningful career in nursing. After decades of showing up for others, retirement felt quiet. Too quiet. The structure was gone. The sense of purpose had faded. And in that silence, she started scrolling, looking, searching. One day, she found an online coaching program that promised to ignite your inner fire, help you rediscover your purpose, and live your best life now. It sounded exactly like what she needed. So she clicked enroll. The price? Over $40. But she told herself, I'm investing in myself. Weeks went by. Zoom calls, journaling prompts, worksheets, a lot of fancy language, but something never quite clicked. It wasn't bad, just empty. When the course ended, Barbara looked at her notes and realized the most valuable insights. They didn't come from the coach. They came from her own stories, her own lessons, her own strength. That was the moment she realized she didn't need someone to tell her who she was. She just needed to listen to the voice she'd been quieting for too long, her own. So she pivoted. Instead of paying for more courses, she started showing up for her local library book club. She volunteered at a women's shelter once a week. She began mentoring a younger woman who had just lost her mum. And guess what? That's where she found her fire again. You see, the richest kind of personal growth doesn't come with a certificate or a login password. It comes from connection, from showing up in real life, for real people, including yourself. Now, don't get me wrong, learning is powerful. Investing in yourself is beautiful. But here's the truth, no one's selling. You're already wise. You've lived. You've loved. You've endured. And no one can package that up and sell it back to you. So before you click Buy Now on that next Life Transformation Masterclass, ask yourself, do I really need more information? Or do I just need to trust what I already know? You are not broken. You are becoming. And becoming doesn't always need a price tag, it just needs your presence. Part 9. The hidden cost of a brand new car. Let's talk about something shiny. Something that smells like new leather and promise the brand new car. Now don't get me wrong, there's nothing quite like driving a new vehicle off the lot. The smooth ride, the compliments, the pride of saying, yep, this one's mine. But here's the part we don't always talk about: what that shiny car really costs, long after the new car smell fades. Meet Edith. She's 75 and lives in a quiet suburb of Illinois. She'd always been practical, drove used cars, paid them off, and took care of them. But after her old sedan finally gave out, she thought, you know what? I've earned something nice. She walked into a dealership and walked out with a brand new SUV. Fully loaded, backup cameras, heated seats, voice control, the works. It felt good, for a while. But then came the monthly payments, the insurance hike, the maintenance surprises that weren't covered by warranty. And the worst part? A year later, that SUV had lost more than 30% of its value. Thousands of dollars gone, not to mention the trade-offs. No more spontaneous weekend getaways, fewer lunches with friends, a tighter grocery budget, all for a vehicle that mostly sat in her driveway. One afternoon, she looked at the numbers and made a bold decision. She traded it in for a 2-year-old certified pre-owned car. Still nice, still safe, but half the cost. And with the money she saved, she booked a train trip through the Rocky Mountains, something she dreamed of doing for decades. That trip, it gave her something the SUV never could: stories, joy, a sense of freedom. Here's the truth. We don't need to impress anyone anymore. Not with the car we drive, not with how new or luxury our choices look. What matters now is peace of mind, comfort, freedom. So if you're thinking about getting a new car, just pause. Ask yourself, what do I really need? Maybe it's not the latest model. Maybe it's a vehicle that gets you where you want to go, without dragging stress along for the ride. Because in the end, the destination matters more than the ride. And sometimes, the smartest road to joy isn't paved in new, it's paved in wisdom. Part 10. The power of letting go. You made it. And before we part ways today, I want to leave you with something simple, but powerful. Letting go. I know that phrase gets tossed around a lot. But what if I told you that letting go isn't about giving up? It's about making room. Room for joy, for peace, for the version of life that feels lighter and more you. Over the past few minutes, we've talked about a lot: shiny cars, forgotten subscriptions, tech gadgets, credit cards, even lottery tickets. And maybe, just maybe, one of those stories sounded a little familiar. Maybe you saw a glimpse of yourself in Edith, or Margaret, or Dolores. If you did, I hope you know this: you are not alone. Every wise woman I've ever known, and let me tell you, I've known quite a few, has carried a few habits longer than they needed to. That's not failure, that's growth. Because growth doesn't always come in leaps and milestones. Sometimes it whispers. It shows up in a small decision, a little clarity, a moment where you pause and ask yourself, do I still need this? Maybe today is that moment for you. Maybe you're ready to cancel that thing you haven't used in months. Maybe you're ready to put your money somewhere it brings you real joy. Maybe you're just ready to breathe a little easier. And that's enough. In fact, that's everything. So here's my gentle invitation to you. Look at your life not through the lens of what should I buy, but what can I release? Because every time you let go of something that no longer serves you, you make space for freedom, for laughter, for slow mornings and spontaneous afternoons, for more dinners with people you love, and fewer nights spent stressing over what's in your bank account. You've built a life. You've survived seasons that were hard, raised families, weathered loss, celebrated love. And now it's your time. To live lightly, to live wisely, to live fully. And if this video sparked something in you, a shift, a smile, even a sigh of relief, I'd love to hear about it. Share it in the comments. Not just for you, but for someone else who might need that same spark. And if you know someone, a sister, a friend, a neighbor who's carrying just a little too much, maybe send this her way. Because this season of life, it's way too precious to walk through alone. Until next time, take gentle care of yourself. Spend with intention, live with heart, and always remember the most beautiful investment you can make is in the life that still lies ahead. Before we wrap up, let's take one more breath together and think back to 3 incredible women we met today. Helen, who discovered that her most beautiful accessory isn't a brand label, it's her own smile. Ruth, who chose clarity over complexity and realized her old phone was perfectly enough. And Joanne, who found the courage to face her credit card debt, not with shame, but with strength and grace. Each of them is different, but they share something powerful in common, a quiet decision to let go of what no longer served them and to gently step into a life that feels lighter, simpler, and more true. Maybe today you saw a bit of yourself in one of them. Maybe you're carrying something that feels heavy, a habit, a belief, a should you've outgrown. If so, I want to remind you, you don't have to carry it alone. And more importantly, you don't have to keep carrying it at all. Because this chapter of life, it's not about holding on to everything. It's about learning to let go with love. So, if you found something meaningful in today's video, I hope you'll do one small thing. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, and stick around for the next part. We're just getting started. Because we're not here to chase perfection. We're here to live gently, wisely, and with joy. Not alone, but together. And that, my friend, might just be the most beautiful way to live.